Welcome back to Yahoo Finance. Well, Starbucks is out with a commitment to diversity and inclusion. The coffee giant announced plans to increase annual spending tied to diverse suppliers. Our Yahoo Finance's Brooke DePalma is here with more in this week's Brooks Bites. Selfishly, diversity is something very close to my heart. Starbucks looking at investing $1.5 billion by 2030.
That's right, Karina. $1.5 billion, quite the investment here made by the Seattle-based coffee giant. Now, I do want to note that's nearly doubling its annual spending with diverse suppliers by 2030. Keep in mind, back in 1998, Starbucks did in fact acknowledge and commit to providing an environment where diverse suppliers have an equal opportunity to compete for Starbucks businesses. Now, nearly 24 years later, in fiscal year 2021, Starbucks spent nearly $800 million with diverse suppliers. So quite a long way to go to that $1.5 billion goal here. One of those companies being FGF Brands, whose creations you likely have seen at Starbucks bakery items with offerings like blueberry muffin or those iced lemon loaf. So really, they're already using diverse suppliers in everyday items that Starbucks consumers know and love. Now, I spoke to Starbucks Chief Inclusion and Diversity Officer Dennis Brockman. I apologize, Dennis Brockman. And he said the process for these small, diverse-owned businesses can be, quote unquote, very daunting. And so to help eliminate the cumbersomeness of that certification process, they're launching a open, free toolkit with Arizona State University in order to get more of these small, diverse-owned businesses on their bracket and hope to use them in the years to come.
Now, I understand the company also shared an update, Brooke, about representation tied to executive compensation. We're talking here about Black, indigenous, and people of color. Tell us more about that.
Alexis, that's right. Back in October of 2020, Starbucks set out a goal to achieve Black, indigenous, and people of color representation by 2025 and actually tied it to executive compensation. Of course, we saw many companies do these efforts and goals after the murder of George Floyd in May of 2020. Now, that in particular is 30% representation at all corporate levels, 40% at all retail levels, and 40% at all manufacturing roles. Now, what they updated here, Alexis, is they shared how exactly they're doing in their 2021 workforce diversity report. That's U.S. Starbucks it's disclosing. So these numbers are as of October 3rd, 2021. If we want to take a deeper dive into that, about 51.8% of its workforce is white, 7.7% is Black, 28.5% identify as Hispanic or Latinx, 5.9% as Asian, 4.9% multiracial, 0.6% as American Indian or Alaskan Native, and 0.5% as Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander. So quite a way to go to work towards those major goals set by 2025, now just 3 years away. But I do want to note that this comes at a time when this week, the National Labor Relations Board certified the results of last month's election for the Genesee Street store in Buffalo. That's one of the stores that looked to unionization efforts in hopes that they would have more of a representation and voice at a corporate level for the company. Now, I did in fact ask Dennis, all these major efforts at a time when recruiting a workforce in general is extremely difficult. Now, Dennis came from being a district manager at Kansas City. And what he said was that I believe that companies who are doing this work today will not be who are not doing this work today will not be in existence in 20 years from now. So he felt that it was extremely crucial that not only do they identify this work, but they put efforts behind it and update us yearly.
All right, we will leave it there. Brooke DePalma, thank you so much for that report.